I have a new column up at Bloomberg that looks at child.
So she talks about how she's got a new opinion piece for Bloomberg, which talks about why businesses are turning to child labor. And I was able to pull part of the article up. There's no hate to the author for this, but I can't read the article because it's paywalled by Bloomberg. But the title is "Exploiting Child Labor Won't Make America Great." Now, I did a video about this a while back when it was announced that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was going to be allowing child labor in her state. And I made some predictions about things that were going to come to be, and I'm going to make those predictions again for you. Here's what we're going to see happen. And I also want to address an issue with something that the author of the article talks about that I think a lot of people are missing. But first, let's talk about the upcoming stuff. One, minimum wage jobs are not going to see improvement. They're not. Those days are done. Minimum wage is what it is. It's going to stay that way. While it used to get kind of regular, and when I say that, I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean regular? Kind of regular increases, I mean that we could depend on the federal government to force increases here and there, but that's not even helping at this point, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to stay stagnant because as more children are employed to jobs, and if you say it's never going to happen, it is happening, it's going to continue to happen, they're going to say that they don't need to increase it because the need for the jobs to pay more isn't going to be needed. It's just not. A child is going to think that minimum wage is an awesome deal because they don't have the burden of bills and everything else. Now, that is in itself going to create an issue, and I know plenty of people have talked about this. I haven't seen it. I want to see more conversation in this respect, but children are going to start having to pay into the households. That means the more kids you have, the more money your household's going to have. We've seen this before. That's not how it should be. Your children should not be having to work full-time or part-time jobs to supplant the income that you're not getting as an adult because the jobs have slipped in the United States, right? So instead of having roommates, you're now going to obligate your children to have to work because if they don't, you're going to have no place to live. This is the position Americans are going to be forced into. Now, she talks about how employers are, getting children to work because it's a little more attractive and how they're not improving minimum wage jobs. They're not going to. I don't think that people who write articles like these are at the ground level here. And I'm not, again, no hate to that author. I'm not trying to show any hate on her at all. It's just, I see a lot of people in business talking about these things, and they're missing a key component, which is the people that actually are in this position. I have a background in IT. I've been unemployed for going on 3 years now. Thanksgiving will be my 3rd year anniversary of being out of work. I was fired the day after Thanksgiving. And that was going to be 3 years ago. I can't find work right now. There's a problem here. Either the jobs that I want to get are unavailable, or the jobs that are available don't pay enough, right? I pay far less than the majority of Americans when it comes to what my mortgage is because I was doing good in employment and was able to buy a home. So renting isn't an option for me because to rent means my cost of living would go significantly up. And even jobs that I was working that helped me get into a house are not enough to pay for rents. They're not. Even with my partner, we're not going to be able to afford renting. I can't find work, though, that's going to do what I need. If I go work a minimum wage job, it is not enough to pay my house payment. It's just not enough to pay that and the other bills I have. Even with my partner, it's not enough. And I know that seems kind of ridiculous. It's like, well, what does your partner do? And it's like, she works a good job, but in that, it still doesn't pay enough for what she does, and it doesn't pay enough to handle the things that we need. And let's say we made that work. That's going to be a perpetual process of just barely making it with no hope in the future, because that's where a lot of people are. What this author is missing is the fact that these businesses will hire child labor because child labor doesn't complain about the wage not being high enough. We will see a fundamental shift in this country where minimum wage jobs will essentially be jobs for children. As it is, we have an aging population that thinks minimum wage jobs are just for teens and high school. That's been something that's been passed around for a while. Something needs to be done about the child labor issue that's going to continue to grow, because it will also edge out the jobs available for adults. That means you'll be in the predicament of you can't afford to get college to get a degree to get a job that barely pays enough. So you won't be able to get a job that they pay children for because they're not going to hire an adult to do a job that a child will. Also, keep in mind, underage children are less likely to argue with employers because they have a sense of authority built in. Yes, you're going to have some rebels, and power to them, but for the most part, children will take job abuse without any complaints. And this is a problem, as I talked about before when it came to states that were hiring children to possibly work in bars. Children working with alcohol, serving alcohol to adults, should not be in a position where they're going to be harassed by adults. That will happen. And we've already seen issues where managers assault grown women. What's going to happen when we start allowing underage girls to work in positions where there are men, and specifically men, who manage them? This is going to be a problem, because historically it's been an issue with women that aren't even underage. You're just adding problems upon problems. If we look back historically, I'm sure we'll see other issues too. It's not like any of this is new. It's just going to be coming back. We're slipping backwards so far. But the problem, again, is there's a disconnect between business columnists. I know she's writing an opinion piece, but I'm talking about business columnists explaining how things work or explaining articles. Just an example of a news organization that slipped is CNBC. They used to do great pieces on why things were the way they were. And as of recent here, because I watch their stuff on the channel of Red, we'll put it that way since TikTok doesn't like actually having that word on their platform, I've noticed that they have a less progressive slant, a less liberal slant, and now it's very right-wing. Like they've been doing articles recently. Same people making articles for CNBC, mind you, are now writing articles that are pro-business, anti-employee. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the deal is, but there has been a dramatic shift, and the narrative is changing across the board. So if you are not somebody with a business degree or business background who just simply works for a living, please feel free to express your opinions, and maybe you guys should consider making videos about your experience in it. I know that it can be very intimidating to try to make videos on TikTok for some people, but maybe you should look into doing it. And I know the biggest part is the negative comments you're going to get. Try to learn to deal with those and make some content to get your voice out there someplace. I know there's a lot of people out already, but I don't think more people talking about these things could hurt.